Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone. We're going to go back into open session. And the first thing we have, like always, is we're going to have a salute to flags, a moment of silence. So everyone please stand.
Hope, peace, and oath. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Port, arms, colors, toast. House, and hurts.
Everyone, please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, up next we have commendations and recognitions. Dr. Fagan?
Thank you, Mr. President. We will begin tonight with tonight's meeting with our Inspiring Moments video. This month, we are visiting Santa's Farm, highlighting the FFA's tradition of giving and community service. Jonathan Fry, please play tonight's Inspiring Moment.
Well, tonight's Santa's Farm, and he's about to get his makeup on for tonight's show.
Santa's Farm has been going on since the 80s.
It's been a long tradition within this community, a lot of involvement.
This is really a good community event. Thousands of people came last year, so hopefully thousands more will come this year. And it really just shows the community what FFA is all about.
Little kids, they get super excited when they see the pigs or the steers or the chickens. It's just this whole thing that they don't really get to see, and they just love it.
Ethan just got to see his chicken for the first time, walked up to him, squatted down to talk to him, and did the chicken dance with him. Loving it, seeing all the animals.
They do this because they know how much it means to these kids to come out here. There's some kids that have never seen an animal before, besides a dog or a cat or something. So for them to come out and touch a lamb or see a pig and, pet a steer, it means a lot to them.
Giving back to the community in this way just is really special because it really connects you with all the people around you.
And this is a big undertaking. The community comes out for this every year. They look forward to it. All the kids love to see the animals, get their pictures taken, have the cookies and the hot chocolate, and talk to Santa.
It kind of gives the kids a sense of wonder, like, oh, there's animals here that I can see that I don't normally see around my house. He loves it. He loves the attention when people walk by. He's an attention hog, literally hog.
These FFA kids are so grounded, and if there's one thing in FFA that they've learned, it's to give back to the community.
It's just all to show the community that we care about them and bring joy in this time. That's what it's all about.
I'd like to recognize some of the stars of our video tonight. If you're here, would you please stand? From Kingwood High School, we have FFA sponsor Valerie Hirsch, along with their FFA president, Todd Nolte, and secretary, Justin Nader. From Kingwood Park High School, we have FFA sponsor Kevin McCarty and their FFA president, Sarah Margulies, and Vice President Emily Margulies. I'd also like to recognize Dr. Marley Morris, Director of Current Technical Education for Humble ISD. Thanks to all of you. Although they are not with us tonight, I want to note that the Atascocita High School audio-video practicum class helped film and edit this month's Inspiring Moments video. The instructor, Jeff Mack, and his students did an outstanding job. CTE programs provide students with skills and opportunities that prepare them for future education and careers. Humble ISD is very proud of its agricultural science and audio-video programs, both showcased tonight through our Inspiring Moment. Thank you to all of you. Next, I would like to invite Christy Tarkington, Assistant Director of Community Development, to announce this month's super staffers.
Campuses and departments select an individual to be honored as a super staffer for their outstanding work in advancing student achievement. A drawing is held and 3 honorees receive additional recognition at the school board meeting, including a $200 gift card to Papa's Restaurants thanks to an award sponsor. The sponsor for this month's Super Staffer Awards is Gulf Coast Educators Credit Union. At this time, I'd like to ask Julia Arsenault to come up and help present the awards. Being honored tonight as the elementary super staffer is Ashley Collier, North Belt Elementary second grade teacher. Her principal, I'm not to the right, to the front. Ashley's principal, Miss McCare Davies, is here, so we'll ask her to come up as well. Congratulations to Ms. Collier, formerly Mrs. Landry, or Miss Landry, for being our elementary super staffer. Ms. Collier is a member of the second grade team at North Belt. Relationships are key to Ms. Collier, as evidenced by her smiling face every morning as she greets each student when they walk in the door. She provides authentic situations for student learning and partners with other grade levels for peer tutoring. Some comments made about Ms. Collier by her fellow teammates were as followed. Ashley reaches out to include others and fosters an extraordinary sense of teamwork. And she creates an inviting environment every day for students. Thank you, Ashley. Being honored as the secondary super staffer this month is Brenda Clark, Kingwood Middle School bookkeeper. And I believe that Miss Jennifer Holloway, the assistant principal at KMS, is here if you would like to come up and join her as well. This is what Brenda's team had to say about her. Brenda has the dedication that many have at KMS. She works when she is sick and does everything she can do to be at school. I've been in Brenda's office when a student comes in, and she drops everything to help them. There are a few special students that come by daily just to get a hug. Brenda Clark works tirelessly to help teachers get the supplies they need for the classroom. She even works with the teachers to find out who the approved vendors are when they're working on grants. When the grants come through, she helps with the ordering and the follow-through. Brenda Hutt keeps fabulous records to keep us aware of the monies left to be spent. She does the behind-the-scenes things that make it all work. Brenda may not be in the classroom every day with the students, but she is a vital part of what happens in the classroom with students. She helps teachers with whatever she's asked. She's covering the nurse's office sometimes or anything else that's thrown at her. Thank you, Brenda. Being honored as the support super staffer this month is Julie Nedrit, Child Nutrition Bookkeeper. Her director, Shirley Parker, Director of Child Nutrition, is here as well, if y'all would like to both come up. Julie, this is what Julie's team had to say. Julie interacts with families applying for free or reduced price meal benefits. Julie handles each family with compassion and caring. She makes certain each applicant feels comfortable and meets their needs in any way that she can. She provides warmth and caring, as well as an outstanding customer service to all. In addition, this fall, a new software system was implemented that required Julie to revamp all of her usual procedures for processing meal applications. Julie tackled the challenges and ensured a smooth school startup for hundreds of students on free and reduced meal programs. Thank you. Thank you again to Gulf Coast Educators Credit Union.
Next, I would like to invite Director of Athletics, Troy Kite, to share some words regarding a very special leader who has served students for over 35 years.
Thank you. I've practiced this probably about 30 times in the last 2 days, and I have yet to not be emotional in any of the 36, so I apologize in advance. I'm going to drop this, aren't I? Thank you, Dr. Fagan. Appreciate you being here for me. Krista Malmstrom, for those of you who don't know, is going to retire. Her last day will be on Friday after serving the district for 36 years. She started at Creekwood, spent 3 years there, went on to Kingwood High School where she spent 22 years in coaching. The remarkable thing is, out of those 22 years, 20 of them were as head coach. The stats are mind-boggling. Out of those 20 years, they won district championship 17 times. They won 496 games, went to state 5 times, and she was inducted into the Texas Girls Coaches Association Hall of Fame. We came into the athletic office at the same time 10 years ago, and when you come in, my coaching career was a little bit less, like down there. And it was quite intimidating. You look at what she achieved as a coach, and you were just in awe, or at least I was. And every time you asked her about it, her response every time, I had great kids, I had great coaches, I had great families, I had a great community. It was never once about her. And then what I learned when working here the last 10 years, as amazing as the 496 or the 596 is, as amazing as the 5 state tournament appearances, it doesn't even hold a candle to her best quality. She's an amazing person. She's been my best friend. And most of all, she's served this district with a great deal of dignity. I'm honored to have worked with her. I'm honored to call her my sister, and I will miss her very, very much. So Krista, please come up. Come on, sister.
go. There you go.
I do, kind of have a sash.
Just remember, you bring in coffee now every day.
And finally, Melissa Kreiser, Humble ISD Energy Manager, has some exciting information to report regarding a CenterPoint Energy program.
Well, I have to do this because I didn't know that Troy's speech was going to be so touching, but I have to say, it's hard for me to call her Krista Malmstrom because she was actually Coach Malmstrom to me. And I don't want to tell my age, but I was at Creekwood. If you remember, that was at the very beginning of the list when he was talking about when she started. So, Coach, congratulations. That's awesome. All right, for CenterPoint Energy, over the past several years, Humble ISD has been proud to partner with CenterPoint Energy in the Commercial Load Management Program. This program is designed to provide reliable, curtailable energy during grid and local emergency situations occurring during the summer peak demand months of June through September. Excuse me. The goal of this program is to help control summer peak demand in the CenterPoint service territory in a cost-effective manner and to reach the demand savings goals as established by the legislature and the Public Utility Commission of Texas. By doing this, we reduce the risk of brownouts and blackouts in our area. In exchange for reducing our kilowatt usage during these peak demand periods, CenterPoint Energy pays the district a set amount per kilowatt. These rebates will in turn be cycled back into the energy management program to fund future programs that will help our facilities run more efficiently and ultimately reduce our energy costs. This past year, we were able to do some controls upgrades, as well as install water conservation devices on one of our high schools to prevent unnecessary usage. This year, we're receiving a check for over $48,000, and that's going to bring our grand total from CenterPoint to $183,399.82 for 4 years worth of work. I don't want to take all the credit for this because this is definitely a team effort. Cairo Courtney and Ricky Jenkins are not here tonight, but those are the guys that are behind the scenes. And they do a lot of work and they really don't receive a whole lot of credit, so I want to recognize them tonight, as well as Kenny Kendrick, and Dr. Brown is here this evening as well as part of our team. We appreciate the opportunities provided to our district and we look forward to our continuing partnership with CenterPoint Energy. Calvin Burnham from CenterPoint is here this evening to present a check to us.
Literally a big check.
That big check. Take the big envelope.
Yeah, Roger.
Whoop. Whoop.
Oh, yeah, Ken. Thank you so much, we appreciate it. Okay. Next, we have questions and comments by patrons or employees of the district regarding agenda items or any other matters. Just so everyone knows, we, the board, cannot discuss items that are not on the agenda. In fact, it's against the law to do so. So if we don't respond because it's something off the agenda, that's the reason why. But we accept anybody that wants to come and address the board and the public tonight. And we have one person that wants to do so, Scott Hutchins. Yeah, Scott, just come up to the podium and.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
All right. Thanks for having me. Thank you, everybody. I know most of the people are volunteers here. Some people have to be here, so you guys are okay. But what I want to talk to you about tonight was going to be on the agenda, but I know they kicked it down the road. But I wanted to just throw it out there so you guys would have a little bit of time to chew on it a little bit. Eagle Springs 28 zoning. I'm sure you've heard a lot about that. Yeah. And I was present at a community meeting with a couple other people here that were presenting. And what I would like to see is some relief for Lakeshore Elementary. You're talking about Eagle Springs Elementary and Itasca Springs Elementary, which up until last month I actually lived in Eagle Springs. So that's the only reason that I know that Lakeshore isn't a part of this even decision. I mean, maybe it's going to be a part of this decision coming forward, but I just found it a little frustrating that says, the first line in this community input meeting said, Humble Independent School District building new elementary to prevent overcrowding as new homes flourish along Westlake Houston Parkway. Let that sink in a little bit. Every house that gets built on Westlake Houston Parkway goes to Lakeshore. Doesn't go to Eagle Springs, doesn't go to Itasca Springs. And I'm looking at some of this data. Next year, Lakeshore is going to be over 1,200 students. It only holds 950. You have a school that I'm half a mile away from right now in Lakeshore, which is Lakeshore. But you have the Groves, which is still less than 2 miles. You have several subdivisions north of Lakeshore that are zoned to Lakeshore. You even have half of Summerwood zoned to Lakeshore, even though Summerwood is like 75 kids under their capacity. So I would just like you to think about this, and this is the time that you have to make the right decision, because even if Eagle Springs 29 does go where it's supposedly supposed to go, which I know now it may not be going there, 2019, you're over 1,400 students at a school. I mean, look at your map. I don't have the map here. You guys know what the map looks like, but everybody goes, Lakeshore is this big, right? And Eagle Springs is this big, and Itasca Springs is this big, and Groves is this big. I mean, you know where all the buildings are going. And I was reading over that PASA report, which is obviously outdated information since it's a couple years old already, but Stillwater wasn't even listed in there. They already have 50-something homes. There's a brand new apartment complex, a 280 unit apartment complex that essentially sits on top of Lakeshore Elementary. Where are all these kids going to go? And from that discussion that we had at Itasca Springs, the first year, the Groves is only going to be at half capacity. You're going to have empty classrooms and you're going to have kids in frickin' T buildings, okay? And I just find it almost repulsive that this week I received a $6,000 bill for frickin' HISD. And I paid it already. You're welcome. Look out for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. We appreciate it. We, of course, cannot discuss it because that was pulled from the agenda tonight, but I think you can read into the fact the reason why it was pulled is that some of your concerns are being considered. But that's all I can say about it, unfortunately. But thank you for your concern, and we appreciate it.
I hope to see a Lakeshore community meeting shortly.
I can't discuss it, but, okay, we appreciate it. But again, thank you, Scott. All right, now we have comments by individual board members. And tonight, I'm going to start off with Mr. Engelage.
Thank you. Before I read, I have a statement I'm going to read tonight. Before I do, Krista, I just wanted to Can't see, Rick, your head's in the way. Krista, congratulations, and thank you on a personal level for always being so kind to my daughters. My daughters, when I first got into this school board stuff, were in kindergarten and first grade, and their greatest memory of Krista is she's the lady with the really cool golf cart at Turner Stadium. 'Cause she would always be buzzing around Turner Stadium. And then as they started to play volleyball, and they talked to their friends about you, they said, oh, we know her. She has a really cool golf cart. So anyways, thank you for all you've done, and thank you for being so kind to my daughters over the years. They've enjoyed knowing you. So, all right, so I'm going to read this statement real quick, and for the sake of the press that's in the room, our board secretary has copies of it if you need them. Okay, so let's see. May of 2017 will mark the 9-year anniversary of my election to the Humboldt School Board. I'm not sure where those 9 years have flown by to, but it seems just like yesterday that my daughters were in kindergarten and first grade at Bear Branch, and now they'll be going into 10th and 11th grade at Kingwood Park High School next year. I'd love to do those years all over again. I'm announcing tonight that I've decided not to run for re-election in May of 2017. My wife and daughters have encouraged me to run again if I chose to, but I know this is the right time and right decision for me and my family. I look forward to spending more time with my family, and perhaps we'll have more opportunities to serve this community in other capacities in my church in years ahead. I've always known that this community has a very deep bench of talented men and women who I'm sure will step forward and offer their abilities to help lead our district to even greater heights. I'll look forward to supporting the next choice of our community for position 5 in any way possible. I'm very proud of what we've been able to accomplish the last 9 years that I've been on the board, and that time will always be some of the most personally and professionally challenging and rewarding years of my life. Having the opportunity to work closely with the members of this current board, past board members, Dr. Sconzo, Dr. Fagan, and so many talented district employees will always be a blessing that I will remember with great fondness. I'd like to particularly thank my wife and daughters for their support over the past 9 years. Being the child or spouse of a school board member isn't always easy, and I can't thank them enough for their love and support. While my name will not be on the ballot next May, let me be very clear. I plan on being very involved in this next election, just as much as if my name were on the ballot. I cannot tell you how much respect and admiration I have for each of my fellow board members. They are an incredibly diverse and dedicated group who love this district and sacrificially work tirelessly for the betterment of our district students and staff. Each of them have my complete support and admiration. Finally, I'd like to say thank you to Dr. Fagan for agreeing to be our superintendent. Of the hundreds of votes that I've cast, voting to make Dr. Fagan our superintendent will always be my most memorable and proudest vote. I will miss not having more time to work with Dr. Fagan, but will always be profoundly satisfied that I played a very small part in helping to bring her to Humboldt ISD. She is a uniquely talented woman who has an amazing heart for students. Thank you for all that you've already done for our school district, Dr. Fagan, and I look forward to watching your leadership for many years to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Anglagi. Ms. Morrison.
Well, first of all, Krista, congratulations, hun. You'll have pink in your cheeks tomorrow, I'll tell you. And I'm going to miss the stories of you riding on the tractor, okay? Not many people will do that. Also, congratulations to the FFA and the Atascocita Video Group. How amazing are our students. And Brent, my partner?
No.
I mean, he sits right beside me. I don't know what I'm going to do. But just a huge Merry Christmas to everybody. And I hope everybody has a great holiday and rest. Get ready for a great 2017.
Mr. Sitton.
Well, first of all, Brent, it's been a good ride. You're going to be missed. We appreciate everything you've done, everything you've added to this board, and but totally understand the kids. I was looking at pictures of Caitlin this morning, and they grow up in a hurry. So thank you for your service and allowing me to be part of that. Krista, I know those tractor stories also. We won't talk about the wardrobe you generally would wear on that tractor on a hot summer day either. But what a tremendous career. You know that My background before I got into the investment business, I was also a coach, but not near as long as you and many others, and not near the career that you had. So I know what it takes for that longevity. I know what it takes to stand on top of that mountain for as long as you did. I tell people all the time, you know, when you win or you get to the state tournament once, that's an achievement. When you do it multiple times, that's incredible. When you do it back to back several times, that's phenomenal. And the legacy that you left at Kingwood High School, it will be there forever. So congratulations on your retirement. Enjoy the beaches of the world. Want to also see we have Norman Funderburk from the city of Humble. Want to thank the city for putting on a fantastic holiday parade, Christmas parade of lights. Mr. Cunningham and I were fortunate enough to be float judges again this year, and it just seems to get bigger and better every year. And this year we had a bright lime green Jeep flowing down Main Street of Humble with Dr. Fagan in it. So she and Olivia had a ball doing that. And let's see, lastly, just want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and I hope you enjoy the holidays with your family, and be thankful for what you have.
Thank you, Mr. Sitton. Ms. Conrad?
Yes, Mr. President. I'm going to save my sentiments for Mr. Ingelagi until May because I still expect 5 more months of work out of you. But I would like to congratulate Ms. Malmstrom, and tremendous career, I guess it was a great way to put it, but I don't know if you even realize the impact that you have. And I could just sum it up by saying that anytime that we had discussion about naming rights, I always get emails with your name. And so that's around the community from our parents and our families. So you're a treasure in our community. So, and I also will never forget the first cross-country meet I went to. Krista had a special spot for me to stand at the end of the chute there. So thank you for that. I'll never forget that.
Mr. Rushing.
Sure, just a lot of the same probably tonight. Krista, I mean, you were probably one of the first people that I met with your colleague there as I was sort of just getting introduced in the community, figuring out who's who and what's what and how I could help out. And remember fondly some of our early adventures. And we'll just leave it at that. So, but congratulations, best wishes. You'll always be remembered up here. Brent, you know, to you, I'd say that, you know, starting the process of you know, sort of deciding whether or not I wanted to run for this, you were probably as encouraging as anybody. And when I began to meet and learn more about you, you're probably the friendliest guy I met through the entire process. And so that's never changed. You've always brought that smile and that sense of friendship to the table. So we know it's not going far, but appreciate everything you've done to help support me and getting involved in this board seat and everything that's come from that. So appreciate it very much. Scott, thanks for being here. Appreciate your comments. I really, really wish I could comment, but I can't. And we'll just leave it at that. But I can assure you your concerns and others have been heard. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Rushing. Mr. Cunningham.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, let me wish our Humble ISD family a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We're about to end this part of it, and I know I'm not supposed to say it, but I'll say it again. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Krista, my friend, I guess I'm just gonna say congratulations. Wish you well, gonna miss you, and I appreciate all the years that we've kind of spent together. I really appreciate it. And I kind of miss it, you know, on the golf course, you know, getting that margarita. No, I'm just saying, you know. But anyway, wish you well. To the super staffers, I just want to congratulate them. I know they're already gone. Work well done. But finally, because I'm a little choked up, because me and this man over here, Mr. Ingalagi, we have a real special bond. I mean, we were real close in coming onto the board. I think I was a year before him. We did a lot of our training together. Our wives hung out together. You know, it's kind of like the Blues Brothers, or I don't know, the Lone Ranger and Tonto. It just kind of depends. So I'm over here kind of choked up. But you know, you and I had talked about this day. You know, we talked about it. And it was a race to the finish line. So it looks like I know you feel good with your decision. Just want you to know that from the Cunningham family, we love you. And I know next week's your birthday, so I'll just wait to give you a gift to you then. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Chris, talent shines. You have someone like yourself that can look back on your career and know that you've excelled at everything you've done, including athletic leadership in this district. It's something that you should be very proud of, and that we're very proud of, and we were lucky to have you. So I just want to congratulate you on your career and your retirement, and just thank you for everything you've done for our district. Yes, we do. I'm sure she'll be able to get into the games at a reduced rate. I think the guy to your left, I think, might be able to help out with that.
He is pretty tight.
I don't know. I might have to convince him. Next, I want to welcome and recognize the Boy Scouts that are here tonight. Welcome, fellas. Glad you can come and see governance in action. And hopefully you don't get too bored. Sorry. And I see Jennifer back there, Jennifer Summer. Is this your last board meeting? I want to recognize you personally. Jennifer has worked for the Observer Papers for a long time. I'm not going to say how long, as long as I've been around, and that's a long time. Yeah, 10 years. And I want to thank you for your unbiased and great coverage of our district, our community, and everything that you've done. And I also want to congratulate you on your engagement. And I just, again, wish you the best of everything in life. And just, again, thank you for everything you've done for our community. So thank you. Last, but certainly not least, Mr. Ingalagi. Brent, I will have other things to say, but I understand why you're stepping down. This is a hard, being on the school board, and this year is a perfect example, is sometimes very hard on your family, and sometimes you ask, is it worth it? I think, despite the ups and downs, it's worth it for all of us. And Brent has played a critical role in this team over the last 9 years. And just thank you for your service, not only as a fellow board member, but as a community member as well. So thank you, Brent. I truly appreciate that. And those are all the comments I have. Dr. Fagan.
Thank you. Well, not to be too repetitive here, but Mr. Ingalagi, thank you so much for the process to go through the superintendent search. You were a very friendly face, and one of my favorite comments was you couldn't possibly get them all right on my rubric, so so I had to mark you down for something. I'll remember that forever. So thank you for that. And Krista, our time together was way too short, but I know that you'll still be around, so hopefully we'll get to stand on the sidelines at a few more football games before you decide to stay on the beach for the long term. But thank you for everything that you've done. Certainly you'll be very well remembered here, and your career is celebrated. I cannot believe it's December, and it seems like yesterday it was July. In other ways, it doesn't seem like yesterday, but we've worked together for nearly 6 months now, and it has been a fantastic experience in every way. I have loved living here, serving here as superintendent, working with all of you, the team of 8 piece, and now my team and I moving forward with the Portrait of a Graduate, collaborating with our community. So many great things currently in motion, and just fantastic people throughout the entire school district. And so I just wanted to take a minute to say I hope everybody has a fantastic holiday season, and I'm very excited for the new year and all of the things that we're going to do together for students in this school district. So thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Fagan. Okay, we now have some action items. We have an action items from the closed session, and I believe we have personnel.
Yes, Mr. President. As to personnel, I move that the board approve the administration's personnel recommendation as presented, Senate rather, with addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? 7-0. Then we have an expulsion.
Yeah, I do. Yes, sir. As to the recommendation coming from the superintendent of expulsion of GD, I move that the board approve the expulsion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, and we have a... I think
One
that's-
more, Mr. President,
Okay.
if I may. I move that the board approve the authorizing of the superintendent for the consideration and possible action concerning the resolution of case number 4-61-CV-00134.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? 7-0. Okay, I think that's closed session. Just so everyone knows, if you go online and you can look, you can see that when we post the board agenda, it has changed. We are now using a program called Board Docs. And this has been a change from what we've been doing since I've been on the board the last 11 years. I'm not good with change. And so I'm trying to muddle my way through this here. And so we'll figure out a way. So my curmudgeonly...
Just click.
So where is it? Is it on here? I'm reading from, I need paper, you know?
It's right there, so just keep going down. So
Okay.
we're down, you got the, yeah, whoa.
Okay.
Okay, there was closed session now.
Minutes, all right. Okay, there we go, all right. I'm old school, I'm sorry. I'm an old soul, I guess. All right, we have now an action item for the minutes for the regular board meeting that occurred on November 8th, I believe, Mr.
Yes, Mr. President, I move that the board approve the minutes for the regular board meeting that was held on November 8th, 2016.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? 6 and 1 is abstention. That would be me. All right. Now we have an update. Okay. Well, this is good. On board associations and committees. I thought I was going to have to remember these, you know, do it from memory, and I knew you guys were going to throw rocks at me if I forgot a committee. But I can read it now. All right. We'll start off with the audit committee.
Mr. President, the only thing the audit committee can report to the full board is that in November we reviewed the 2015-16 end of the year CAFR and single audit that was given from our external auditors, Whitley and Penn. That is pretty much it for the month of November.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. We have the board and superintendent evaluation process and goals committee.
And we have no report, but we have a meeting immediately following the January board meeting.
Okay. Thank you. We have the building and planning committee.
Yes, Mr. President, we had our meeting last week, and everyone should have received their summary from Dr. Brown. Thank you again for always doing that. Very, very thorough, and I appreciate it. So any questions, I'm sure you can address.
Any questions? That was a really good summary, by the way. The Education Foundation.
Yes, Mr. President, Education Foundation, we really don't have a report, but I will report that we did hold the golf tournament that was held on November 11th. Seems like it was a success. I don't know what our final numbers are. We're ready to present that, but I'm sure we'll be ready in January. And Foundation wishes everyone a Merry Christmas. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Finance Committee, Mr. Rushing.
Yes, Mr. President, we held our second committee meeting of the month, of the year, in November, November 29th to be specific. Special thanks to Charles or Mr. Cunningham and Mrs. Morrison for attending. And Mike walked us through a couple different agenda items. We discussed all of this you did get in a summary form, so appreciate that, Mr. Seal. And so if you have any questions on that, please let us know. Really kind of more significance, talked about the budget presentation sort of style, methodology, and content. And the discussion we had was, as we start getting into the spring, is keeping a similar initiative-based process like we did last year that seemed to get positive feedback from the group. Much more meaningful dialogue, I think we all felt. If I'm incorrect in that, please let me know. We can adjust as we need to. But the other piece of that was working with what Dr. Fagan's doing with the strategic planning piece, tying in some of what is coming out of those meetings in terms of priorities, strategic priorities, and figuring out how we maybe blend the initiatives and the priorities this year as those begin to get identified through that process and the workshops that are occurring in January and March. So if you look at our calendar, the calendar is actually tied very nicely to be in follow-up to Dr. Fagan's community-based meetings, followed by budget workshops. So that's how we've got that outlined for the spring. So if you have any further comments or suggestions on that, just let me know.
And Mr. Rushing, you guys have sent out a calendar?
It is. It was attached to that summary
Okay.
that Mr. Seal sent out.
All right,
so if we
good.
need to do that again, we can do that.
No, I've got it. I just, I didn't forward it to my folks. I need to make sure it's all on my calendar. All right, good. Finance Committee. All right, Kingwood Super Neighborhood Council, Mr. Angelagi.
Yes, I did attend the November meeting. There's really nothing of significance.
Okay, nothing about trees or widening of
No,
any
actually,
roads?
there is something of significance. Mr. Martin's people were there, and they confirmed, for 100% positive, that Torchy's Tacos is coming to Kingwood. So that was the most
That actually is an awesome announcement. I like some
know.
Torchies.
I'm
All
more
right.
excited than my daughters and my wife are very excited, but they're $4.50 a taco, so I'm not that excited.
Well, you get
They're
the
very good
trailer
tacos.
park and make it trashy is the best taco they have, and I promise you that. All
I
right.
see the bottom.
All right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Angelagi. All right, the Legislative Committee. This is an important committee right now.
Very much so. Our committee met this evening, and so we are preliminarily drafting the district's priorities to come to the January board meeting to be accepted, hopefully. The
Okay.
recommendations.
Now, I've been asked by a lot of community members how to participate and how to get involved, and I mean inundated
Okay.
compared to other things that.
Good
so-
questions. Jamie Mount is working with Dan Huberty's office to formulate the large general meeting. And we're also, I understand, Dr. Guy Sconzo with the fast-growing districts, and hopefully putting it together so it will come very, very soon.
Well, they're more wanting, Ms. Morrison.
They're more wanting to.
To support us as a
Okay.
district. They're
Okay.
worried about the things that are going to affect us directly.
Right.
One thing in particular is, some of the school choice, issues that are out there and
Very
things.
much
And
so.
so what they're wanting to do is they're wanting to support the board and the district. How do they help us? How do they get involved? Are we going to give information out?
We will give information out on the website about that.
Okay.
And so we will be getting that out to them, especially with the preliminary priorities that we've come up with, school choice and vouchers, and especially the funding, correcting the fund. We need the funding fixed and all the different things and the mandates, and making sure, hopefully, that the state will fund our programs and things. So we'll get that out to them and get them the links that they can go to and to submit feedback for us.
Awesome. Thank you. Program Committee, Mr. Sitton.
Yes, sir, Mr. Lopez. We met, Dr. Price, what was the date that we met on? It was about 3 weeks ago, I think.
Dr. O was there.
Now, Dr. O was there. No, we had to push it back. We had to push it back.
It was November 15th.
Yeah, it was after the November meeting.
I want to say November
Yeah,
15th.
something like that. So we had Dr. Oganowski come in. She is the person that we hired 3 years ago to come in and look at our RTI program, our 504 program, get a good idea of where we're at as a district, and then help us put together a plan, a 3-year plan on how to get on track if we're not on track. And what we found out was we weren't on track at the time. And I'm very pleased to say that her response was polar opposite this time than it was 3 years ago. She's really excited with the capacity that has been built within the school district. The leadership team, not just the district level leadership team, but also the campus leadership that stood out there on an island by themselves and really tested this process to see if it would work. So now they're becoming mentors for other administrators throughout the district. So what we'd like to do is something similar to what building and planning is doing, is after our meetings put together a executive summary, if you will, of what we talked about and who was there, and we just need to make sure we clear it with Mr. Ross to make sure that we're following all the guidelines and so forth. The other thing that we talked about with Miss Ann Johnson was our Spanish immersion program. I think last month we talked a little bit about Miss Morrison and I went and visited a school in Louisville, and we followed that up with our notes and visited with Miss Johnson about what we saw there, what we experienced here with our kids. Matter of fact, that's where I was at earlier tonight. My daughter got to narrate a program at Pine Forest in Spanish. And of course, I was on the front row with a video camera like a proud daddy should be. But it was pretty neat to watch. We do a lot of great things, And as we know, the new elementary school in the Groves, regardless of who's going there, is going to have Spanish immersion, and it's going to be a fantastic program. It'll draw kids from all over the district, for that matter. The middle school will have upper level Spanish courses as well. So Ms. Johnson's working through that entire curriculum program as we speak, and we're excited about where that's going. So once those plans are more formalized, we hope to get that out to the rest of the board as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Sitton. Technology and Data Governance Committee.
We have no report as we did not meet in December, but our next meeting is scheduled for January 3rd.
Okay. Obviously, I need some help with my technology and data governance.
Maybe we need a workshop.
Yeah, I need a workshop, obviously. All right, well, thank you all, committee chair persons. All right, we'll move next to our consent agenda, just so everyone knows. We get the agenda in advance, and so we're able to ask the superintendent any questions that are maybe minor, can be handled in advance of the meeting, or need maybe some clarification. And so what we'll do is we try to throw everything on the consent agenda that we can to try to get rid of some things that are more pro forma votes. And we'll do that now. We have no items under the governor's considerations, superintendent division reports, learning division reports. Our first consent agenda items under financial services, division of reports, considerations and purchases. Item A, tax refunds. That is consent. Item B, waiver of P&I. That's consent. Item C, budgetary amendments. That is consent. And there's no items under human resources reports, considerations and purchases. Under support services, division reports, considerations and purchases. Item A, Centerpoint easement for elementary 28 and middle school number 9.
Pull that.
And that's pulled as an individual. Item B, change order, middle school 9, architectural services. That is consent. Under district-wide reports, considerations and purchases, item A, goods, professional services, and non-construction services exceeding $50,000 in the aggregate or $25,000 individually. That is consent. All right, Mr. Cunningham, if you can read that back in the form of a motion.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I move that the board approve the following items by consent. Under financial services, service division reports, consideration and purchases, items A, B, and C. Under support service, Service Division reports consideration and purchases, item B, and district-wide report consideration and purchases, item A.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? 7-0. All right, so if I'm doing this correctly, we go back to the consent, we go back to the agenda items, and we go to item A, under support services, division reports, considerations, and purchases. That is Centerport easement for elementary 28 and middle school number 9. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
And we have a motion and a second. So now for discussion. Mr. Cunningham, you pulled that, sir?
I did, Mr. President, and really just kind of a question. So, and I apologize. It's been that time of the year, but I'm looking at this easement and I'm looking at the run of the easement. And am I correct in assuming that these are going to be poles and it's not underground, that we're putting poles down Madera Run and then coming into the property? We couldn't go through the back of the property here and then come in? I mean, because this is going to be a major thoroughfare. Just the aesthetics just of looking at, and if I count right with the number of distances, that's going to be, it's going to be a nice little picket fence. And so it's just a question. I mean, because I'm looking at, so I can come back through the back of the property, and I assume that they're coming. If I can move this, I can't move it. What's that, Timber Forest? So the line is down Timber Forest already. We can't run the line down Timber Forest and then come into the back of the property? Just a question. I'm just concerned about the aesthetics, the way it's going to look on that street there. So if it can't be done, then it can't be done. I mean, I'm good with it, but it just seems like the only thing that we're going to be paying for is going to be to run. It doesn't matter the front of the property or the back of the property to put the underground ductwork in.
Right, and it's going to run it. But it is, my understanding is it will run underground in the back, and then the front there will be, come through the front there towards Timber Forest, and there will be poles in the front over there, right?
Yeah, the one pole, well, and the pole is really going to be in the kind of in the right of way. It should be. They're not putting it on our property, but it's in the right of way. But then we're also going to put a pole about 20 feet or so into our property. I mean, that's good. I mean, I'd rather see it 20 feet in back of the property. And then same with the other school here to the east, which is actually going to run down a future street. It was just, kind of a, it was that the best route that we could get. I mean, I'm good with the easement document. It's just the routing of just trying to get the service to that school.
Correct.
So, all right. Well, that's all I had, Mr. President. I'm just wondering about that, especially as.
Well, the follow-up on what Mr. Cunningham asked is, this is to bring power to the new middle school.
To both schools. I'm looking at both schools here.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
well, it's the first school that we're building is the middle school.
Property that'll serve both schools.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so if we wanted to have it buried or something else, that would have cost us to do that.
Absolutely.
The district, correct?
Absolutely.
And so this is kind of the cheapest alternative, is to grant an easement.
It's a standard service.
Yes.
It's a standard service, but I'm just saying, standard service to me, why can't we put it in the back instead of on the front? Or why wouldn't we maybe just ask it can be done? I know it's kind of redoing stuff, and we're on a time schedule, so maybe not. But I think, yeah.
We can certainly, if that's the part of the board, table it, and I think we have a construction meeting tomorrow.
I would agree.
Well, okay, I think that's what, well, I mean, Charles, do you want to make a motion to, I'm not sure if table's the right motion, would be to postpone the vote, and to have it reanalyzed. I mean, how urgent is this, Dr. Brown?
Well, I think that, obviously we're moving along pretty good on elementary school 28, so
Can it wait until January?
I would think that it would wait till January.
All right.
Temporary, how long?
Well, what I'm looking at here, this is not for temporary, this is for permanent power.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Do we already have temporary power out there? And where's the temporary power located at now? Okay, well, that's okay. All right, as long as we're not slowing up construction, I mean, because this is going to be a permanent service. And so, you know, if it's not feasible, I mean, you know, where it's going to cost the district more money, if we have to do a lot of clearing, you know, to clear the actual, you know, the footage required, you know, then maybe so, Mr. Lopez.
I'm sure we could, but seeing how this has now caught everyone's attention, that may not be a good idea. Because this won't slow down the construction, I think it'd probably be a good idea to postpone the vote till January. So I will, as the president, make a motion to postpone the vote until next regular scheduled board meeting in January.
Second.
And we have a motion and a second. All in favor? That's 7-0. All right, now, assuming that I'm going through this correctly, we don't have any other presentations, right? All right, good. So next we have future board business.
An information.
Where is that? Okay, I need to figure this out.
7.
Okay, it's just a financial services report. We have our typical financial services information item. If anyone has any questions, we have the famous Mr. Seal here to answer your questions. Okay, hearing nothing. All right, future board business. Mr. Sitton.
I would ask that before we go back to the community with boundary proposals, that we have a board workshop, if possible, to look at the work they've done, so we have a better idea of the work that's been put in, so that when we're out talking to community members like Scott, we can say, this is what they've done, this is how they got to this decision, or this is how they got to plan A, B, or C, and things of that nature.
Can't we do that at the board meeting where it's brought up and then have it just an open discussion on it?
Well, as far as future board business, however you want to work it as the president, I just want to have more information about where we're at and where we're going. And I'm not going to say a whole lot more than that because I'll get myself in trouble up here.
Well, as long as we're not making comments about the specific items that come from the board.
No, it's not that, because it's an emotional thing.
Okay.
I too live in Eagle Springs.
All right.
And so,
I
want more information, in other words.
No, that makes sense.
So does our community.
Yes. We've got two options. We can do either a board workshop or, just so everyone knows, and how boundaries decisions are made, is that the board is the last person, the last line where it gets approved or not approved, or even sometimes boundary decisions get changed at this table. And that has happened before, in fact. But long story short is that when boundaries decisions have been made in the past, we have full board presentations at a board meeting, and then the board goes into a discussion, and we ask questions, and it's all out in the public. And granted, it's just the board asking questions, and the community can just watch, or like Scott did tonight, you can the board before meeting, the community can, voice their concerns, and then the board will have the discussion at an item. But that's what we've always done. And I think that works. And sometimes it gets tabled if there's a big problem. But if it's done right, then there'll be explanations for every question. And I think instead of having a workshop, and this is just my opinion, having it at a regular scheduled board meeting brings the most sunlight to the issue.
I'm totally fine with that. I just want to be clear that I want to have a discussion before we vote on anything.
Absolutely. Does everyone else agree with that? Because we can have a workshop. I'm fine with it. But sometimes the workshop, you don't have real discussions. It's more of presentations sometimes. And so we do have some questions, but
that's fine.
But board meetings, it gets kind of fun. Yeah. And I think the Boy Scouts would actually have stayed if we had a good discussion like that. That's right. So does everyone agree with that?
Yes, second and third.
Okay, all right. Any other future board business?
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Point of order, maybe. Would you look at 11A, please?
11A?
Sounds like.
Future board business, sir. Needs your attention.
All right, do I have to read this?
Yes.
All right. The 74th session of the Texas Legislature requires a course of training for all school board members. On November 19, 2010, the State Board of Education adopted amendments to its rule on continuing education for the school board members, that's 19 Texas Administrative Code 61.1, requiring the information about the status for each board member's continuing education to be announced annually at the last board meeting in the calendar year, thus this meeting. The purpose of this requirement is to prepare board members to work as a corporate body to govern and oversee the management of the district so that performance of all students will improve. I don't think I need to read all of this. All right. We have different tiers. And tier 1 is local district orientation to, we don't have any new board members, so that's not applicable. Tier 2 is a 3-hour team building course. All trustees have not completed this training as of this date. I thought we did do team building. So we did it, but it wasn't recorded. Okay. The transition has, okay, so I'm announcing that although technically it's not recorded, we did have team building. Actually, I think we had more than 3 hours this year. All right, but technically we have not completed the training as of date because it wasn't recorded. So we have to announce that. All right, tier 3, at least 5 hours continuing education credits for experienced board members, 10 hours for first year board members. Mr. Inglagi, Mr. Rushing, and Mr. Sitton have not completed hours as of this date. They have until May to, I think, have those hours completed. So that's what I have to read, correct? By law?
Well,
All right.
with that said, I've already talked to Beverly. I've got to go back and look at my records. More than likely, I didn't turn in my Scantron when I left the convention, so.
Because I know you, because we were there together.
Yeah.
And my name wasn't read.
I put the app on my phone, but if you don't do it within an hour, you lose.
All right.
you lose
I'm not sure
the
if we're
access.
complying with the spirit of the law right now. All right. That being said, any other future board business?
I
Yes.
do
Yes.
have one. I don't know if it's a request for information or what you would call it, and I don't know what I'll call it other than maybe an update on House Bill 5. Since House Bill 5 was enacted, I know we had all these things that we had to do as a consequence of that or whatever. So I'm just wondering, do we have students, we have those pathways in plans now that students are a part of? Have we had kids graduate under those new plans? Have we had courses changed? Are we offering more CTE, less CTE? Do we have different enrollment in those kind of? So I just like an update of how that's affected us as today. Does that make sense? Okay.
Okay. Any other future board business? All right. Okay. That's a wrap. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year to everyone. Hey, kiddo. Okay.